You're with me.
Alright, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for coming and staying.
Hello, Megan.
Hello.
Hello, Megan.
I just had some quick announcements that has to do with Children's Ministry. Starting next week, we're having Baby Bottle Campaign. We're doing it differently this year. The kids are going to be competing against each other to see who brings in the most money. And then whatever team wins, their voted leader or pastor will get a cupcake smashed in their face.
I would sign up for this.
I don't know if it's going to be you or
I
not.
would volunteer.
You're voluntold.
No, you're not supposed to know that word.
So we'll see who the kids pick. So they'll be bringing in, they'll have people sign pledges instead of getting little bottles, and they'll pledge a certain amount, and the kids will collect that then and put it into a big bottle. They'll also be doing a diaper drive, so just
As long as they're not dirty.
yes, brand new diapers.
Yes.
That's how we're gonna do it this year, a little different from previous years. And April 21st, we're having an Easter service back here for the kids. April 28th, we have Camp Hebron guest ministry, similar to last year. And then this summer, the hallway is going to no longer be a hallway, it's going to be a marketplace. We are going back in Bible times for the summer, and there are many different ways to volunteer, such as a tribe leader, shop owner, storyteller, maybe even skits. So those are what we're planning for the future. Get everyone up to date on that. So like we introduced them in the service today, just wanted to introduce my leading ladies. Hannah is my right hand, literally, and she's my co-leader. There's so many words I can't describe the job description. Judy is our craft extraordinaire, just doesn't need Pinterest. I can tell her, hey, this is what we're thinking, and she'll have 5 different ideas and color-coded, organized, all that.
Wow.
Yes. Mandy is our preschool leader, and I'm really excited just to see all that happens in that classroom. And same with Tina, she's our nursery leader, and we're introducing something new in a few weeks or so, just until we get it up and running. It's just having a passion to teach our young ones and not just babysit, as it states in our vision. But they really, the job description says to oversee the classroom, giving guidance and direction on how ministry is to happen. That's just a written job description. It doesn't mean everything that they're doing is. It's just so much that they do for us. They can be described as diligent, caring, joyful, steadfast, loving, and willing to answer God's call. And none of them hesitated when I asked, would you mind being a leader? Like, yeah, sign me up, we're here.
Thank you.
The skills and knowledge that I feel that I'm lacking, that's their strengths. So that's the reason why I'm lacking it. I'm not supposed to do it on my own, which is why I have all of you here as well. We're going to discuss the vision then. We really see it, that our vision is to plant seeds and to see them grow into a forest. In Psalm 1, it talks about the way of a person who obeys the Lord versus the way of someone who is a sinner. And that a believer finds joy in the word of the Lord and thinks about it day and night. It says, they are like a tree that is planted near a stream of water. It always bears fruit at the right time. Its leaves don't dry up. We have the honor of introducing our children to Jesus and walking with them as they grow into young men and women of God. And really, that's the image that I get is from Psalm 1 of what we're doing back here. You can look in the handbook on page 3, where our vision is stated. It says, as a partner and a support to the parents of our congregation, we seek to strengthen the homes of our children by encouraging and communicating with the parents until Malachi 4:6 is fulfilled in our midst. We're also
I'm a little nervous now.
I don't know if Mike even has chapter 4. We'll have to look at that. Then to provide ministry through which children will be saved, filled with the Holy Spirit, grounded in the Word of God, equipped and released to minister in an atmosphere where the purposes of God can unfold in their lives, and establish meaningful and enduring relationships between the adult members of our body and our children, to prevent a generation gap from developing in our midst through incorporating our children fully into our fellowship from the earliest years. And we do that already. But this is just written down so we know we can go back to this is why we do what we do back here, not just babysit and keep the kids safe in a contained area, which can be hard sometimes. But just to really, the 45 minutes we have with them on a Sunday is so important in their lives. We are there to lay a foundation for them to grow on, but also to partner with their parents. Because if we don't have the trust in the relationship with the parent, we don't have the child. So really just partnering with the parents and just how we minister to their children and making the children feel comfortable back here and safe, and that this is a good place to grow and to learn. And coming from here, it's a wonderful place to be. So just making that, continuing to make sure that it is a safe place and a good place for the kids. We're gonna move into our Sunday morning procedures. And now that we know why we do, we're gonna go with what we do. James is going to come up and discuss our new position of greeters.
Thank you, Megan. By the way, look at this handbook. This is amazing. I put like a one-page thing together when I was doing children's ministry, and it was quite lacking. So thank you, Megan, and Hannah and the rest of the team for putting that together. That's awesome. There we go. Okay, I want to give you a statement, and then I'm curious what you think of this. This is a statement. When you confuse, you lose. When you confuse, you lose. Now, as a greeter, the people that are going to be greeters, you're going to be there to welcome families, but especially new people that are brand new to the church. And here's my question for you. Someone that's walking in the building for the first time, what are some things that they might be confused about when it comes to having kids? What do you think? Where to go? Yeah. Where do I go? Where do the kids go?
What time do they go back to the nursery?
What time do they go back to the nursery? What else?
Bathrooms, changing station.
Bathrooms, changing station.
What room do my children go to?
What rooms do they go to? Yep. What else?
What all do we offer?
What all do we offer?
Are they allowed to stay in the service? Stay in the service?
Are they allowed to stay in the service? Yeah, right? How about those of you that are parents, what's something you're mindful of whenever you drop your kids off with someone that you've never met?
You want to be introduced to them. Are they going to be okay?
Do they all have their clearances?
Are they going to be okay?
Are they going to be okay? Do they have their clearances? Are they safe with you? And so if these questions don't get answered, what happens to someone who's new that's coming in?
They might just walk right back out.
They might walk out. What else?
Their kids stay in the service instead of coming back and being exposed to what we have to offer.
And if you've got little kids that are staying in the service, how much are you getting out of the service?
Nothing.
Not much. Where might their mind be if we don't answer those questions, even if the kids go back? Thinking about what?
Leaving.
Leaving? And they're kids. Right? So when you confuse, you lose. Now, I don't think that any of us do things on purpose to confuse, but what happens is if people don't know the answers to these questions, then they get confused and then they're not as engaged to begin with. And people have studied this. They found out that people make a decision about what church they're going to go to if they're going to come back within the first 3 to 5 minutes of being in the building. Think about that. That's before Pastor Steve or anyone else preaches. That's like half a song in. That's literally just from walking in the door and interacting with people and the way that they're made to feel when they walk in. So as a greeter, you have such a big role with greeting people when they come in. You can make someone feel welcome and safe to drop off their kids, or you can make them feel confused and totally disengaged. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, we just went over some of this teaching with the hospitality team, the cafe team, the greeters, and the ushers. And I made this statement, I said that we want to love people so well that we make it easy for them to experience the love of God. Actually, I said it wrong. We want to serve people so well that we make it easy for them to experience the love of God. And so as a greeter, that's your job, is you're going to serve them so well so that you put all those questions at ease. What are some ways do you think that you could serve people as a greeter? Walk me through what you want to do.
Well, when they come in, you show them where to go, like, hey, we have coffee over here and donuts, get your kids some breakfast or whatever, and then here's a sanctuary, and just show them where each station is so they know where to take their kids then.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, I think to walk them down the hallway and then to show them the room, and while you're walking, explain, here's the bathrooms, here's how service goes, and to explain, like, the kids are going to come up about halfway through the service, maybe around 45 minutes in, when we're done singing, they're going to come up, they're going to be dismissed, they're going to go back down this back entrance, and they're going to go to the classroom. Let me show you where the classroom is so that you know where to pick them up when the time comes. And then if you can introduce them to any of the other teachers that are around so they know people that are there, which is why, by the way, when you're scheduled, it's really important to wear this, right? What does this mean to someone who's new that's walking in?
You work here.
You work here. That you're supposed to be back here with kids. That you're someone who's trusted and that you can help them out. So wear these when you're on. Everyone wear Ray Crum.
Yep.
That way people know. And if you don't have one or like you lost yours, see Megan and she'll get you a new one. Megan, I don't know where mine is. I'll remind you later.
I think I wore one time.
Maybe. Don't tell Megan now. Tell her later. Send her an email or something. All right, so wear your name tags. Bring people back. Answer as many questions as you can for them so that they're not wondering. Make them feel comfortable about dropping off their kids with you. I want to tell you this story. One time, someone came in and their kids went back with a pile of kids through the back, and when the parent came to get them, there was a 15, 16-year-old that was the classroom leader in the fishy room, and the parent went there, and the kid wasn't there. The kid had gone into the barnyard room, but each of the adults didn't know that the kid was in the wrong space. Do you think that mom ever came back with her kids?
Nope.
Nope. Because it took us more than 5 minutes to figure out where he was. And what did that make her feel?
Insecure.
Worried.
Insecure, worried, unsafe, yeah. So, especially if it's someone new, as much as you can, introduce them to who their teacher is. That way the kid knows what room they're supposed to go to, the parent knows, and they know who to go to. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, so when you're back there, when you're up front, be looking to help people log in. You can even, like if you see someone, you can start typing in their information, their last name, their first name, the last four numbers of their phone number. All of that gets you into their information. Also, we've got a tablet that does the exact same thing, and you can walk around with this, and it'll print off the information on the same printer. Do whatever you can to be engaged, and especially looking for new people or families that are there. And if you don't know how to log somebody in,
That's what I was going to ask.
yeah, I can show you, Megan can show you, but if you're a greeter, then we want to make sure that you know how to do that.
Yeah.
And so if you're on, grab one of us and say, help me do this, because I want to know how to do it. Yeah, any questions about that?
These are the greeters that you're talking about that are in the check-in session, and the
Yes.
greeters that are greeting at the door.
Yeah, I think in the schedule, there's 2 people every week.
Yeah.
Yes, on the schedule, there's 2 new positions for greeters, and I think it's normally helpers or a classroom leader.
Yeah, yep, so that'll be a lot of you guys. Yeah, get them checked in and then show them where to go. Keys.
Is the position she talked about, the 2, are they just on the Sunday school team or the greeters team?
Well, I'm glad you said that. One of the things that we're trying to do is with the overall greeters and the cafe team is we're trying to have somewhat of a handoff process. So if someone brand new comes in and Tina's a greeter and I walk in and I'm brand new, Tina will introduce me and then she will actually bring me over to the cafe. And let's say Damien's in the cafe that day and Tina will introduce me to Damien. So that now I know someone who's in the cafe. But along the way, if I have kids, then what would be great is for Tina to introduce me to you, Keys, who's a greeter with the children's ministry area. And before I even go anywhere else, I get checked in and I get all that information and all my questions answered. So if you're a greeter, look for new people that are coming in. How do you know who someone is that's new, besides you've never seen them before? What are some signs that you think this person looks new?
They're looking around like they don't know where to go, like they're lost.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, look for people that look a little bit lost. Okay.
I like to tell them when I see someone new coming in with children, I say, don't be afraid to let your kids come up front and dance. And I said, make a joyful noise unto the Lord. I said, they don't have to sit back here like they used to do in my old church, where the kids had to sit there, you know, and not make a sound. I said, let the kids, and even the adults, I said, just let it all out. I said, if the Lord is moving in you, let it move.
Yep.
You know, take off your shoes and dance. And I said, we don't sit there in church, you know, garb. You know, we don't sit there in suits and ties and everything. I said, we come in and we just relax and let the Lord load among us.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I would add to that is to encourage parents to go up with their kids. To one, be an example to their kids on how to worship, and then to be there if they have questions. Because it could be kind of a weird situation if a kid's up front, brand new to the building, brand new to church, and their parents in the back and has no idea what's going on. That could be a recipe for some problems. So I would encourage the parents to stay with them and go up with them. Yeah. Anything else along the lines of readers? All right, I'm going to turn it back over to you, Meg.
We're gonna start talking about the rest of the Sunday morning, and Hannah's gonna walk us through that.
All right. That was really great introduction, and we're going to be on page 27.
Whoa.
So, and really, we're not going through word for word this whole manual because we'd be here all day. But this really is an excellent manual, and I just put a plug out to take some time and really go through, especially the areas that you serve in, because there's specific things for different ministries and different age groups. So, I would just encourage you to take some time and read through that and learn from it. But so I'm just going to go down through the Sunday morning procedures, and I think a lot of you are probably familiar with most of this, but just to review again, so you know where things start from the beginning and then where it ends. And really it does start with sign-in and check-in, like Pastor James said. So the children come in, they get signed in, and really that's so important because, you know, like he mentioned, we don't want a child lost. That's one of our worst fears, and we don't want that to happen. So we're putting some of these things into place for that reason, so that we can make sure that they're tracked and monitored, and we know where they are and that they're in the right place. So once that check-in is done, check-in does close 10 minutes after worship service has begun, in case somebody comes in late. And then that sticker, of course, is their label. The parent has the sticker and the child has the sticker. And then after that, the attendance sheet's going to be printed out. So if you're a classroom leader, you'll have your list of who's in your class. So you want to make sure you get your clipboard and have that ready. Somebody prints that. I believe the greeters are planning to print that. So after that 10 minutes is done, you have that printed list. And once you're in your classroom, and if you're a leader, you have your kids in your room, you want to go down through that list and check the names off and make sure, yep, this kid's here, this kid's here. If you have a kid that's there in your room but that's not on that list, we want to make sure that they're checked in. And there is a procedure on that. So if the child is on the list but not in the classroom, you want to page Megan or somebody, and we'll talk about the walkie-talkies here in a second, to find out what to do. And there's actually a missing child procedure on another page in the book that we'll talk about. But if the child is in your classroom but not on the list, I'm sorry, I said that backwards. If the child's on the list but not in the classroom, so we want to make sure that that's mentioned. So if they're not in your room but they're printed on your list, we definitely want to make sure we know where they are. So that's when you want to be calling Megan, and or if you have a helper with you, have your helper go out and try to locate where they're at. And it most of the time it's just they're in church. They didn't come back, they were afraid, they just didn't want to stay, or something happened. So that's usually the issue, but just to be safe, you want to make sure that they made it to the destination that they're supposed to be in for that Sunday. Okay, so number 6 was if the child is in the room but not on the list, write their name down. And then, you know, if they're somebody that typically comes here regularly, make sure you mention to the parent, you know, when they come back, hey, by the way, make sure you're checking your child in. That helps us to know who's here, where they're at. And, you know, if it's somebody new, then that's, you know, we would want to make sure that they know how to do that in the future if they do to come back.
As a classroom leader, for example, what do
Yes.
you notice that? would that be a call to whoever's leading the day, like to Megan or something?
If they're new,
Yeah, especially new, to say, would you go through the procedure, get them checked out and do, or even the remote? Or would you just write them down?
I think you can write them down if they're brand new at that point. I mean,
Yeah, 'cause you get out and
we
get
can
printed
work
and stuff
through
might
those
be a little-
details later, yeah. But really the missing child, if you have someone on your list and they're
Yeah.
not with you, that's
Right.
the more urgent scenario that you would want to call somebody for.
Okay.
But if they're new and they're not on your list, this is our first Sunday, write them down and then, maybe talk to that parent and say, hey, if you come back, we want to make sure they're checked in, that kind
Yeah,
of thing.
maybe go over the procedure with them after. that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
But what about like
I'm sorry.
our children
Yes.
often end up, like they say they want to, then they end up not wanting to come back
Yes.
after all.
Yeah,
So
so
if
make
we
sure
sign
you're,
them in, they would be on the list, you're saying?
right, they're
Then
gonna
we
be
just
on
have
the
to
list.
make you aware they're not coming back?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, just make sure that classroom leader
Yes.
knows. And then if that's the case, then that leader will then just write on the list, didn't stay today.
Okay,
Or
yes.
something like that, yeah. But we're looking at if they were signed up and never came back at all and, we weren't aware of that, we wanna make sure that they're
Yeah.
in the right place.
One thing too, though, I was thinking is that child will have a name tag and we won't know who the
Yes.
parents are and that kind of
Yes.
stuff too. So that's
That's a good
something,
point.
that's something that maybe ought to be taken care of then, so,
Yeah,
so we
that
know
is a
that
good
we're
point.
giving the child back to the right parent and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. so.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point.
Especially for the preschool children,
Yes.
sometimes they don't pronounce their names
Yep.
properly.
Yep. Well, and then for pickup procedures, because
Yeah.
we want to make sure the right child, so we can change that. I think you're right, that's a great point.
'Cause some
Yes.
parents don't even know their parents' names. They go,
Sure.
Mommy,
Yeah,
Mom, my
Yeah.
mommy.
absolutely.
Who's mommy? Mommy.
Go ahead, Keys.
For the older children, you could ask them their parents' names.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, that would be easier for the older kids. And maybe too, what you could do in the interim, if you don't have somebody, is to get, while they're dropping them off, get the parent's name, and if you have their cell phone number or some way we can get a hold of them during service, that would be another way, as a leader, to do that in the interim, until we can get them set up in the system. Because that, depending on the timing of that, could disrupt things, but yeah, good questions. So, okay. The last, number 7 just says if the parent is needed, then, we can text their cell phone, or we have these walkie-talkies now, which we're gonna go into down in a second, where you can call as a leader for the parent if you need to have the parent, called in. So that's something we're gonna go over in a second. So when should you call the parents? So this is especially for the little ones. Of course, if that child is crying uncontrollably for several minutes and you can't console them, and the team is going to talk through some of those scenarios with you in your specific training. So if you serve in the younger children's, the nursery or the preschool, that tends to be the time where you have a lot of separation anxiety. So they're going to talk a little bit about that, how to handle that specifically in your group. But of course, if you got an older kid that's crying, you want to try to work through that. But then, obviously you call the parent. If you have a serious injury, again, another thing that we're going to talk about in a little bit, what a serious injury means. I mean, obviously if you have like a paper cut and a Band-Aid, that's not serious, but if you feel like something's pretty dramatic, traumatic to the child, whatever that might be, you want to notify the parent. And of course, if the child becomes a danger to others or themselves, and if they're not being obedient to the children's ministry staff, then you would want to contact the parent as well. All right, so we have our walkie-talkies. So each of the leaders, and I believe craft leaders, everyone pretty much, if you're leading and doing something, you're going to have one of these for each room. And they should be set at number 1. So when you get it, make sure you turn it on. Make sure you can hear it, because you can have it down pretty low, but you want to have it up loud enough that you can hear it. Make sure it's set to number 1. And to call, there's a button on the right hand side, your left hand side. You just press the button and talk. Give it a couple of seconds. If you talk right away, you might miss the first sentence or two of what you said, but talk and then let go when you're done. And make sure if you know who you're trying to get a hold of, mention their name, because multiple people might be calling back and forth. Like this Sunday this morning, we needed another helper, so I have an extra one in the church service. So Megan called me. We needed another helper. I went and got the helper, and that worked out. So anything like that. If you need something, you're stuck, you need help, just say, hey, help! I need help. But this is really key to really helping us to be able to communicate. And like I said, somebody in the sanctuary will be able to respond. So if there's somebody, a parent or something you need from the sanctuary, then somebody can respond to that.
But also understand that every word you speak could be heard by
Yes.
multiple people around.
Exactly. I was going to just mention that. Yeah, so be mindful of what you're saying. You don't want to say so-and-so is acting up today. You want to be respectful and mindful of what you're saying, and just think about that as you're talking. Let's see. Yeah, the last part, do not discuss personal information over the radio. All right, pickup procedures. Just make sure I'm not missing anything here, because we did talk about, before I go to pickup. So all of that is just, some things that we do in the morning to help us as we go throughout our day. But I wanted to mention, obviously as a leader, or as you're, thinking about your day, you're serving on a certain Sunday, you want to be preparing for that Sunday, and really, throughout the week, as you're going to be serving, start praying, praying for knowledge, for any things that, the Lord might have placed on your heart for any of the children that you're ministering to, or even just in general, just what does the Lord have for this Sunday? Because we have things planned, but obviously we want to go with the flow of the Spirit, and what is the Lord doing? So, and some of the other things too, we have our Sunday morning prayer, so we might have some things coming out of that will impact us here on a Sunday morning. So be thinking about that, be praying for your children, and of course you're preparing your lessons and your plans for your Sunday time together. And we also then have a time of team prayer. So I believe it's 9:30, so whenever you're done getting up, set up for your morning, please plan to be here for 9:30 to pray, because we do want to just, as leaders and as a team to gather and pray for the morning and be prepared for that. So that's really important to remember to come in here be here for. Okay, we talked about the walkie-talkies. We talked about check-in. Let's see if there's anything else. Of course, we have our groups that are set up by rotation. We're going to continue with the curriculum, the Hill Climbers curriculum that we've been using. And then the nursery has another curriculum that we've just purchased, which is really fabulous. And Pastor Steve mentioned that earlier, just about how do we foster the Spirit in with our babes. So we're so excited about that. So they, the pre-K and the nursery would continue to stay in their classrooms for the full Sunday, and we're going to continue with our rotations like we have in the past with our K through 5th. So they have their lesson, they have their craft, and then their small group time, and they rotate between all three of those groups throughout the morning. Okay, so now we have our pickup. So the children will be released if to an adult or sibling over the age of 16. Just wanted to make sure you're being mindful of that. I know there's a lot of siblings that are younger that will come back and pick up their sibling, but really want to make sure that we're releasing our kids to the right folks, and that it's somebody that's 16 or older within their family. And they have to have that matching number label, so make sure that number is matched with their child that they're picking up. And then really make an effort to communicate to parents to let them know what their child did during the ministry. So if there was an injury or a behavior issue or something that occurred, but also on the positive, if there was really something that came out of that child during your Sunday morning time with them, share that with a parent. And I'll speak personally when I've had some things go on with my kids Sunday morning. I so love to hear that, when I can hear other people witnessing them, the Spirit of the Lord coming out of my child. And it's encouraging to me as a parent. So think of that as you go back and as the parents are coming. I know it's a busy time. Even if that time's not a good time, maybe seek them out later. Say, hey, last week's, your son said this, and it was so awesome. And so really just be mindful of that too, because the parents need to hear that.
A lot of times, it's hard for me to get under the tables and pick up the snibbles and stuff like that. So I know your son has done it quite a few times. But whenever a child helps me or something clean up, I like to go back to that parent before they leave and tell them, your son or daughter helped me get everything cleaned up. And I said, I really appreciate their help.
Absolutely.
Some of them just come up and do it. They don't even ask. They don't even ask. And it's I'll say, you go back and like if they're under Mr. Spots over there, I'll say, go back there and tell Corey, Mr. Spots, you tell Mr. Spots that you're going to be here helping me clean up, because, what is that girl? Just had the shoulder thing, her son stayed. Matthew. He was in 1 week, and I said, let them know that you're going to be in here, and he helped me get the tables wiped down and everything.
That's
and then I went out and I told his mother, I said, your son was a godson today, because I had a bad back that day, and he put all the chairs away for me, and he was really sweet.
Awesome. And encourage the children too, and I'm sure you did, but tell the children when they've done something that's good and positive. They need to hear that as well. So awesome. All right. And then we also have on the back of your booklet, again, not going to go over all the details of that. On the very back in the appendix, let me see if I can find it. My thing is flipped. Actually, if you flip to the last page, we have checklists for each of your rooms. So, again, I'm not going to go through them in detail. They're pretty self-explanatory, but it really just goes over what I just reviewed with you. So, if you're in the nursery, here's the opening checklist. Here's the closing checklist. So read through that. Be aware of some of the things that we want you looking at when you come in. We want to make sure the room is safe for our children. Of course, with the plugs to be covered, things like that. Making sure things are wiped down and cleaned, and everything's kind of put away afterwards. So be mindful of that checklist, and those are going to be available in your rooms. And one thing I will mention, because it's not specifically here, and we didn't have time, Megan and I were working on the binder, so we're going to have a binder for each of the rooms so that it'll have the checklist, it'll have a listing of the kids that typically are here. There's going to be some other things, we're working on it, because we want to be able to have a place for you to go to if you get stuck or lost. We'll have some of our safety things in there, safety plans, so a place where you can quickly reference some of this stuff, because we know you're not going to have this in your back pocket and be able to use it anytime. So we'll let you know when those are ready and available, but that'll all be located in that binder in your room. And one more thing, as we mentioned, the encouragement pieces, and as you notice and see some development, spiritual development in children that you've worked with, those binders are going to also have, or we'll have someone in the room where you can mark maybe some things, write down what the child's done that was really exciting. Like you said, Becky, this child's always helpful every time they come in. And then what we want to do is when they graduate and move up to the next group, when they move out of children's ministry, we want to give that to them as a gift of, hey, from birth and up, however long they've been with us, here's the growth and the spiritual things that we've seen them grow through, and want to make sure that's given to them.
I was wondering, could they get little rewards or whatever? Could they get, like little necklaces with little crosses, just the guilt or whatever?
Like a behavior, like a good behavior thing?
Yeah, like for the kids that helped out or something, helped clean, or if a kid helped another teacher.
That's a great idea.
That would be something that we could give a kid if they were really good. That way the parents have something and the kid has hey, I did something good, maybe next time I can do something. And it will teach them to be nicer to people and more helpful sometimes.
Yeah, positive reinforcement. Yeah, yeah, that's something we can certainly talk about and think about instituting, yeah. Great. All right.
Another question.
Yes.
In the nursery, when they drop off the diaper bags, do you have anything to say that this is this parent's diaper bag?
That's a good question. That's a good question, and that may be something that we can work on. Because no, we don't.
Okay.
We don't currently, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Maybe when they do like the check-in, when they first check in or something,
Yeah,
with the
maybe
name
another
tag.
sticker or
maybe they could
something.
Make an extra little name tag that they put like a parent's
Yeah.
number on that paper bag.
That's a
Okay.
good question.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome.
Another question I have
Yeah.
is, like, for our oldest, he's 5, but he's still in the barnyard. Like,
Uh-huh.
how are you with that? Like, he
The transitioning
keeps
to the next
telling me he
group.
wants to,
Yeah.
but every time, see, it's because the other two go in that room, so he wants to be with
Sure,
them.
he's comfortable there.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's certainly something that we can all talk with, offline, about how to handle him specifically. Because we've done that with other children where they're just not ready. And that's okay. We don't want to ever make somebody not, go somewhere where they're not comfortable.
So what's the age group in that room?
So it goes up to 4-year-olds, and then once they start kindergarten, then they move on to
Okay.
the next class.
Does he have any friends in that class?
Well, right now, he's playing with them. Right now, is he in that class?
With Lukey.
Luke's out. He moved
Luke's
up.
in the next class, yeah.
Maybe that would even help, yeah.
That's what I was thinking, if he comes with, maybe if Lukey comes and say, hey, come with me, let's have some fun.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion.
The goal with transitioning the kids up is to make sure they're comfortable before they move up, and even as classroom leaders, team leaders, to take an opportunity if a parent says, hey, my child doesn't really want to come back, we're going to discuss some of the kids that don't want to come back, but take an opportunity to just go and talk with the child and say, hi, I'm going to be your leader today. I would just want to introduce myself, or tell them a little bit what we're going to do, tell them the rotation so that they know what's going to happen. Because when they know the routine, they're much more comfortable to come back. So just making sure that we do it the same each week, have the same format, kind of like Mr. Rogers, and how he's going to come in the door, he's going to put on his sweater, he's going to change his shoes, and all of that. So,
Hey Megan,
something like that.
what would be the possibility that we could have somebody that's dedicated to be like a bathroom person, somebody who spends the whole time like sitting right there by the water fountain in the bathroom? That way when a child needs to go to the bathroom, a leader doesn't have to leave the room. There's somebody that is already there making sure the child is going where they need to go and coming back to the classroom.
We'll have to see.
Okay.
We do have
A potty person.
a written down policy for that, and just how we go about it. We're going to move into our emergency plans and policies. So we had discussed attendance and making sure that your child's there, so we're going to go to page 32. All the plans are 31, 32, 33. So for the missing child during attendance, if they're not in your classroom, but they're signed in, like we said before, radio us and we'll locate them. But if they are found not to be within the building, that is when they become a missing child. So we then, Hannah or I or the head usher would then notify the parent that, hey, your child isn't in here and he's not back here. So parents would then write down a description of their clothing, hair, age. Everybody is supposed to remain in their rooms with the children you have. You stay with the 99, we'll go look for the one, and we will search the grounds, the building, and then once they're found, we'll radio that he's been found. And we'll bring him back to the Children's Ministry office to meet with the parents. And if it is determined that they are not in the church building, not in the parking lot, anywhere, then we will contact the police or authorities and let them take it from there.
We're praying
Kid-
that never happens.
Yeah, again, all of these pray that they never happen. Missing child, I think during attendance is the most thing we're gonna run into. Kidnapped child, that is when someone who's not their parent takes them, picks them up. So the sticker is very important that we don't give them to the wrong person. But if it's found that they're missing, they're not here, and the parent's like, oh yeah, so-and-so could have, then it's a kidnapped issue, and we need to notify the children's parents and the police if it is a danger. And once the police have arrived, they will take control of the entire situation. And again, your role is to notify us if it's in your classroom, but if it's not in your classroom, stay with your kids, proceed like normal, be on the lookout for the child, but we have other people that'll be searching. Okay, flip back to page 31. Do I have any questions on missing or kidnapped? All right. So, use emergency plans to keep 3 things in mind. Pray constantly through it, that the Prince of Peace will be there and taking charge of the children's hearts. You're to remain in a calm spirit, because the children will mirror what you do. So if you're calm, they'll remain calmer. Maybe not completely calm, but they'll remain calm. The children in your class is your #1 priority. So parents, if you have a child in another class, it's really important that you remain with the kids that are under your care. Your child is being taken care of, and we will get you reunited as soon as possible. And follow the plan exactly as written, unless directed to do something different by the leader or someone in charge. General guidelines: take care of the people first, not the property. A wallet will be, you can buy another one. You can't. So take care of the people and you first. Defer to the church staff and leadership until the authorities, fire, police, whoever, arrive. Again, stay calm. You're in leadership, so people are going to be watching you. The kids especially need you to remain calm. Know when to step back and follow the orders, which we really don't have that much of a problem with. Survey the situation. Don't run back into the building. Bad idea. And Hillside is asking that if there's something big that happens and there's media here, don't say anything. We will make a public statement if we have to. Steps to evacuate the building. So if there was a fire, you would line your kids up at the door. We are working on getting the safety ropes, or the kiddie handle ropes, where they all have a handle, even for the 5th graders, so that we can have everybody together. Exit the building. The closest exit for us is down there at the end of the building where the kids come back from children's ministry. That door, you would go out the door. First, if you'd line up helper, kid, teacher. So the adult's the last one to leave. And then make sure you have your radio and your attendance sheet so you know who's where. And we'll be meeting in the back parking lot. So out that window back there, we'll be meeting. And we'll line the kids up. We'll take attendance once. And then when it's safe to, we'll walk around the building to the front parking lot and meet up with their parents. But we'll line the kids up and wait for the parents to come over. The kids do not run. That's why we'll have the ropes. If you're with babies or nursery or preschoolers, help them, carry them, keep them calm. So hopefully we don't have a fire or anything like that. And then the last procedure we have is for a lockdown. Please pray that we never have to deal with this. But in the event that there's a lockdown, we will make an announcement across the radio and then turn your radio down as low as possible. Lock the door, create a barricade if you have to, using tables. Have the children huddle away from the door or window. Silence your cell phones, turn the radios down. If we have an earpiece for you, we'll hand those out beforehand. But take a head count so you know who's where. And hopefully all the kids are in the classroom. And just your role is keep them calm, keep them safe, keep them calm. And then an all clear will be given, and then we'll come and get you. So don't leave the classroom, stay where you are, keep them calm. And anyone that could come get you would be like children. Be me or Hannah, one of the leaders, pastor, or an elder. So lockdown could be kidnapping. intruder or active shooter. Again, please pray that there's nothing like that ever. If there is an armed intruder, the following plan would be called the ADD plan. So you avoid, deny, and defend. Avoid the situation, get out of the building, get safe. Deny access. If you can't get out of the building, create a barricade with all the tables and the chairs, and just stay safe. Defend. If they do break into your room, you have permission to defend with whatever means necessary. So, again, we pray that this will never happen.
My cane.
We're safe. Any questions on any of those procedures? Karen's in here too.
I know how to use it.
All right. Any questions on the procedures? We're going to now go into our classroom training. So if you work in nursery, you'll go back with Tina. If you work in preschool, you'll go back with Mandy.
I'm gonna mention the
yes.
forms first.
Yes, so on the back of your handout, you should have a paper clipped form that says recommitment form. Please fill that out. And please have that turned in hopefully before you leave or by next Sunday. Some adults, if you're over 18, we do need your clearances. We'll meet with you and give you the paper. If you are a student, so under 17, you have a parent permission form that needs to be filled out. So that is your clearance, that you are okay to work with kids and that your parents know exactly what you've committed to since they've committed to bring you to it. So, all right, so nursery, preschool with Mandy, crafts are with Judy, and classroom leaders and teachers are here with Hannah. So
I don't see a form.
I have yours.
Okay.
So if you guys want to take time to fill that out, you can. We're going to go to our break.